Hello. Hello and good morning. What an amazing crowd. So glad to see everybody here. Thank you so much. So good morning and thank you for joining us. I am Chris Bourne, the president of Dell Children's Medical Center. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Dell Children's Specialty Pavilion. This is a great day for children and families in Central Texas, and a great day for the teams that take care of them. On behalf of our National Ascension Ministry, our Ascension Texas Ministry, the Dell Children's leadership team, our partners at Dell Medical School at the University of Texas, physicians and our amazing staff, thank you for joining us today. We are grateful for the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation and to all of those who have philanthropically supported the expansion and continue to support the growth of Dell Children's. Thank you. And a very special thanks to our leaders who have come to Dell Children's to help us reach world-class levels of care, including Leah Harris, Chuck Frazier, Carlos Mary, Steve Roach, Elizabeth Tyler Cabarra, Dave Clark, Dan Stromberg, Aaron Gottlieb, and over 100 physicians and caregivers that have joined Dell Children's over the last 24 months. We thank you. We wouldn't be here today without the leadership of Deb Brown, Mina Iyer, Elizabeth Frieda Bowling, Nilda Garcia, and Dave Golder, and so many more people who have carried Dell Children's to today. I must mention the many legacy physicians within Dell Children's Medical Group and private practices throughout Central Texas that have worked tirelessly to achieve so much, from BRAC to the Children's Hospital of Austin, to Dell Children's Medical Center, and today the Specialty Pavilion. We stand on their shoulders and will keep pressing forward until Dell Children's fulfills its vision to care for all children, no matter the diagnosis. I also want to thank MedExcel, Beck Construction, and Lott Brothers. This impressive facility pays tribute to the hard-working men and women who, in the midst of a pandemic and snowstorm, came to work every day and maintained momentum while operating under very, very challenging circumstances. Thank you so much. This is an exciting day as we launch a milestone expansion at Dell Children's. It was a little more than a year ago when we broke ground on the state-of-the-art healthcare complex. This significant investment in our academic partnership with Dell Medical School will enable us to serve the needs of children in our growing community right here at home. Today, the Specialty Pavilion brings together cardiovascular, neurosciences, the FETAL Center, and Cancer Center programs all under one roof, benefiting patients by eliminating the need for multiple office visits and trips to Dell Children's for tests and imaging. The Specialty Pavilion is a pediatric outpatient facility connected by walkways on the first and second floors to the hospital, with more than 161,000 square feet for complex care services, along with 2 750-car parking garages. This state-of-the-art building includes a Dell Children's Blood and Cancer Center, a 40,000 square foot clinic. We look forward to growing the Pediatric Cancer Center to soon include bone marrow transplants. The Texas Center for Pediatric and Congenital Heart Disease, There is no question that Dell Children's is the definitive destination for cardiovascular care, drawing patients from across the region. An accomplishment including patients benefiting from 4 recent heart transplants and ventricular assist devices. The University of Texas Health Austin Pediatric Neuroscience Program at Dell Children's. We continue to expand our high-level care in neurosurgery, neurology, epilepsy, rehabilitation, and neuropsychology. And finally, our comprehensive fetal care center. This new center will offer diagnostic treatment and management of complex and rare fetal conditions, including fetal heart conditions, congenital diaphragmatic hernias, urinary tract conditions, spina bifida, cleft palate. The center will include a new specialized delivery unit that will open in July of this year. So we'll be able to deliver babies here at Dell Children's whose fetuses have been diagnosed with some type of anomaly. Dell Children's proudly commits to promoting health and well-being for patients, staff, and the community, along with protecting the environment, mindful of precious water and energy resources. The Specialty Pavilion uses 100% reclaimed water for landscape, irrigation, and reduces energy use for building operations by 43%. Healthy living starts with a healthy environment. At this time, I am very, very pleased to welcome the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for ASCENSION, Craig Cordola, a great friend. Craig.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much. Really appreciate your leadership of all that you've done here in a short time at Dell Children's Medical Center, as well as all that you're doing for our community and for kids. And so really grateful for your leadership and friendship over almost 30 years now as well. I too want to welcome the medical staff that's joined us today, our great friends at the University of Texas Dell Medical School, our private physicians who have made this home for a decade, and all the difference they're making for children across this entire community. As an Austin resident, it's been remarkable to see the growth at Dell Children's. I do remember, Chris, just 2 years ago, sitting in my office having a discussion about what could be. And I also remember just 3.5 years ago when I was interviewing to join ASCENSION and ASCENSION Texas, meeting with the medical staff at Dell Children's, who desired more, who desired investment, who wanted to build great clinical programs to support all of Central Texas. And we're finally seeing that become a reality. So thank you so much for your leadership. I also want to thank the Dell Children's Hospital team in total. Incredible staff that make a difference every day for serving this community and for patients and families. Also, without question, and Chris mentioned this as well, but the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation, who have just been incredible supporters of Seton, ASCENSION, and Dell, investing significant money to support this community. And now with the establishment of the Dell Medical School at the University of Texas, connecting the Dell name to Dell Children's and also Dell Medical School. But I also want to mention something about this new facility. It's never about the building. While we're here today to cut a ribbon and celebrate this magnificent facility, I just want to remind everybody of the why. And the why isn't because of the building. The why is because of the people. It's our associates and our physicians that will show up every day making a difference for kids, and those families whose lives will forever be changed because of the great clinicians and experts that we have bring into this Dell Children's family. And so I'm grateful that you're here to celebrate this amazing opening, but I do want you to look around at these incredible leaders that are assembled and recognize that that's where the differences that get made every single day. This relationship that we have as part of ASCENSION in our national ministry and how that plays out at ASCENSION Texas and Seton Healthcare and Dell Children's really creates a platform for us to think big. And part of that thinking big is for ASCENSION to invest heavily in the continued growth in the Austin marketplace, both on the adult services as well as Dell Children's, of which you're seeing today. And while this is a fantastic day to celebrate this, in many ways it's just the beginning. So there are a couple of other really large projects that we have underway to support children in this community. We're not going to stop here. We have just in a couple of weeks, we'll be breaking ground on construction for a new four-story four-story bed tower to support Dell Children's Medical Center, adding 72 additional beds to this campus of which you're on now. And in addition, next fall, which many of you have heard about, we'll be opening a second Dell Children's Hospital location in Northern Austin. We're very excited to continue the expansion and the growth. The 100+ physicians that Chris and his team have recruited, that will continue so that we can ensure that we have the clinical services that are needed to support the patients and families of this community. So on behalf of Ascension leadership across our ministry, I just want to congratulate the entire team and everybody here for the tremendous work they're doing. Know that you have our full support, our continued commitment and investment in this community. And as I mentioned earlier, as an Austin resident, it's super fun to be a part of this and to get to see it firsthand. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce also another good friend and somebody I've known now for many, many years, Dr. Ken Moise, who was mentioned earlier. He is the director of the newly created Fetal Care Center at Dell Children's Medical Center. And he also is a professor in the Department of Women's Health at Dell Medical School at the University of Texas. Ken, welcome back to Austin. It's great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that. Just looking at my notes here for a second, the world of fetal therapy began about 4 decades ago when a gentleman from New Zealand called Sir William Liley successfully transfused an anemic fetus in utero for the very first time in the world. It's worth mentioning that there was no ultrasound in 1963, and so how he did this was he put paper clips on mom's abdomen, took an x-ray, and then blindly put a needle into a fetal abdomen to give blood. And that fetus survived. And that was the advent of fetal therapy. Later in his foreword in 1984 textbook entitled The Unborn Patient, Liley proposed the following. Someday, for a wider range of fetal illness, we may be able to offer a brighter prospect for the future, other than the dismal alternatives of neonatal death and life with abnormality. An anonymous author once said, it's not every day you get to do what you love and have a major story behind it. So if I could, with your permission, I'd like to share one of my stories. I returned to Houston from the University of North Carolina when the front desk clerk called me and said, there's a patient of yours here that wants to see you. I'd only been back for a few months and I couldn't imagine who that patient was. I said, send her back, I'll be happy to meet with her. And 2 women walked back, one middle-aged and one was a much younger woman. And the older of the pair looked at me and said, Dr. Moise, do you remember me? And I said, you took care of me 18 years ago. And I said, honestly, my memory's a little foggy. Can you help me with what I helped you with? And she said, you transfused my unborn daughter 5 times. And I had a successful outcome. And I wanted to bring her here today to meet you because she's about to go to college. And I looked at the young lady, who was quite embarrassed, obviously, and I didn't think the usual reply of, I was just doing my job, ma'am, was the right answer, so I decided to add some levity. And I said to her, do you remember all those times I stuck you with a needle? And she said, honestly, I don't. So we all 3 embraced, and that's an embrace I still remember to this day. It's been my honor over the last 3 years of my career to see the brighter prospect for the unborn come to an everyday reality that so was eloquently proposed by William Liley 3 decades ago. I've been gifted by the opportunity to stand on the shoulders of giants of fetal medicine and fetal surgery, and for this I'll be ever grateful. Today we celebrate the opening of the Comprehensive Fetal Care Center here at Dell Children's. This is the shared vision of Craig Cordola, Chris Bourne, Andy Davis, and my chairman, George McCombs, who've all made this possible. This building is just bricks and mortar, as we heard earlier, but yet it is a place of hope. Hope for all those pregnant women of Central Texas who've been confronted with the news that the unborn child they carry is not the perfect child they envisioned just a few days earlier. For some, we will operate on their babies, even in the uterus, and we will make a difference, and their baby will survive. For others, fetal medicine will not be able to help, but we will hold their hands because we will offer all of them hope, the hope that the unborn is indeed a life that can be cherished by all. Thanks for the opportunity to share my thoughts today on this important day in Austin's history. And it's now my pleasure to introduce a former patient who is very special to me, Amber Cessac. I had the privilege of taking care of Amber and do fetal surgery on her babies, who are now her 9-year-old children, who will be coming up in just a second, during my stay in Houston. Amber, you'd like to come up?
Hi. Good morning. My name is Amber Cessac. I was a patient of Dr. Moise's 10 years ago. These are my little girls, Eden and Noelle. I met Dr. Moise 10 years ago under probably the most terrible circumstances, which I'm sorry, Dr. Moise, that's how you have to meet. So many of your patients were terrified and traumatized and just hoping that you can help us. I had just been diagnosed with twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. I was about 20 weeks pregnant, and I was given no options. I was told that I'm so sorry, but we're going to lose both of your babies, and it's so early. You're only 20 weeks. We just have to wait and see what happens and see how long they last. As a mother, you know that just really fills you with a sense of hopelessness and helplessness for your babies. I managed to find Dr. Moise's information, and I just called the phone number that I found. I spoke to his wife, Karen, on the phone. When we found out that I lived in the same city that he was practicing in, she said, "Can you be here at 2 o'clock this afternoon?" And I said, yes. Got there, had the longest ultrasound ever, and Dr. Moise said, "We need you in the OR first thing tomorrow morning if we're going to save these babies." So it was about 36 hours from the time of my diagnosis to my being in the OR, having surgery with Dr. Moise to correct my TTTS. After that, my babies thrived. Of course, it's still a difficult, stressful pregnancy. You're still up here a lot, seeing Dr. Moise over and over, but every time it was a good report. And here they are today, perfect, healthy, straight A students. After they were born, I started connecting with a lot of other mothers who are also in the same situation through some online support groups, through social media, and that was when I started to realize how incredibly lucky we were. There are so many mothers who just simply don't have access to doctors like Dr. Moise or to a fetal care center like this. They live too far away. They have all of these hurdles and all of these obstacles that they have to cross to get this care. And it just really impacted me that they are here and there are so many other babies that aren't given that opportunity. Every time I see Dr. Moise, we see each other every couple years. We make sure to visit. I feel this compulsion to tell him everything that the girls are doing now. At one point, it was, they can say their ABCs. Dr. Moise, they can say their ABCs. Another time, it was, they just started ballet. You should see them in their little tutus. It's amazing. Today, one of the first things I said was, look at their braces. They've got braces. And for a while, I wondered, why do I do that? Why do I feel this compulsion to tell him? And I know that it's because I want him to know, and I know he does know, but I just really want to drill it home that this is not just a job. This is not just a building. That was not just surgery. These are not just numbers and statistics. That these are lives and these are souls that are here that wouldn't otherwise be here. And so to now be here today in this building and to just think about what the future holds, there are going to be that many more ballerinas. And there are going to be that many more recitations of the ABCs and that many more braces on teeth. And that is really what it's all about. Thank you.
Amber, thank you very, very much for sharing such a wonderful story and such a powerful reminder of why we need complex care in Central Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to bless our new care center and open it. And I'd like to introduce Chaplains Mark Holmes and Tim Waithaka for our blessing.
It's my pleasure to introduce to you today our newest chaplain at Dell Children's, Tim Waithaka. And Tim is a very joyful chaplain with wonderful animal stories. He is dedicated to palliative care and to hematology oncology services. So he will touch on the lives of patients through all of the different service lines that this building will encompass. And I'm just so glad to have him come. He comes from Cincinnati Children's and Tri-Health County Health in Cincinnati, Ohio. So Tim, welcome. Take your mask off. Thank you. He'll get it.
Is it on? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chaplain Mark, for your kind effort to say my name correctly. He's been practicing that all the time. So if you want to practice my name and you can promise me a taco, we can do that duel together. As we all look today to this beautiful towering structure, I could not help think of my country, Kenya. I am originally from that part of East Africa, and we get the name of my beautiful country from the peak of Mount Kenya, a peak that has snow on top of it. And as that snow flows down, it forms some natural rivers in all the four directions. And as these rivers flow, they bring water to the land, to the people, and to nature. And it is not just a flow of water that people look to on these mountains, but every time we look at that mountain, our hearts and our minds are filled with hope, not just for needed rainfall, but hope for a better future and a continuation of life. And today as we gather here, we are reminded of the hope that we bring in Dell Children Medical Center. At the front of our building are the beautiful white bonnets of the Sisters of Charity. Those towering symbols are a history of how hope was brought in despair and life was brought in near-death situation. And as we dedicate this beautiful pavilion, it is my prayer that it will inspire hope for us to be better humans in what we consider here at Dell Children's, the most important demographic, the little children, to whom Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for to such belongs the kingdom of God." A beautiful piece of art will hang on the wall of this pavilion, revealing the beautiful wings of an angel. May all of us who serve these children be like angels who bring hope and protection to those that we care for. May our hands be tender, and may our feet bring sweet messages of good news of hope in despair and courage in the hardest of time. And may we not forget that the real angels in our midst are the children that we serve. We give thanks to God for his gracious provision through the hands of our generous donors. We want to honor and celebrate our leadership who are led by vision and purpose for seeing beyond the challenges of today and to the hopes of a better tomorrow. We honor our doctors, nurses, and supporting staff, and everyone who will work in this building to bring hope to our wonderful kiddos, as many of us refer to them dearly. And I would like to invite all of you, sometimes I know it's the clergy who dedicate the place, but in my culture, which I'm very proud that in Dell we recognize diversity, we welcome people to raise their hand. So if it's okay with you, I would request you to raise your right hand as we say a prayer of blessing this place. Creator of all things, We pause this moment in awe of your greatness and the wonder of your creation. We thank you for life this morning and the opportunity to share the joy of dedicating the Dell Children Specialty Pavilion. May this medical building be a place where hope is inspired, where healing flows and the joy of life is enhanced as our teams that come to care and help all our little children. We thank you for the children who are your sent angels, and as we minister to them, may there be messages of hope and courage as they face seasons of treatment and therapy. May there be healing of the body, the mind, and the soul. We bring our loving teams, the doctors and all the supporting staff, works with them as they bring this message will be a reminder that your hand is at work. We pray, oh Lord, that today you bless our donors, that you are going to bless those who have invested, and may you bless our leaders for being visionaries. And here today we join to give thanks to you. And now to him who is able to keep all of you, and preserver of life and the healer of our body and our mind and our soul, to God alone who is wise and all-knowing, we dedicate this Dell Children Specialty Pavilion in honor of the giver of all life to be a place of healing, a place of hope, and a place of courage. In the name of God our Creator, in the name of God the Son, and in the name of the Holy Spirit, and all God's people say, Amen. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mark and Tim, for such beautiful words. You're inspiring. Thank you. Well, now it's time to cut the ribbons, to open the new Dell Children's Specialty Pavilion. And because Dell Children's does things in a big way, we're going to have over 5 ribbon cuttings. Okay, 5 ribbon cuttings. And so the ribbon cuttings will occur at the front door, right? Somebody say shake their head. Okay. And so let's start with Amber and her girls. Dr. Moise, Dr. Bebbington, if you wouldn't mind going to the front door where we could do a ribbon cutting, would be amazing.